Hi everyone, this is not Alex Southey, this is Jess Roveda, and you're probably wondering why am I hearing Jess Roveda and not Alex Southey? Well, that's because Alex has so graciously asked me once again to guest host on the pod, so I'm super excited to do that because today we are chatting with my dear friend Lauren from Monstrosa, and what's really exciting for me actually is that this is official as of, I'd say probably after Alex asked me to guest host this episode, that I'm now officially a part of the band actually after being a fill-in for some time. So it's super special to be asking someone who's, not only been one of my best friends for the past year, but now my bandmate and the leader, the brain behind this whole project. Some really cool questions about, how some of the songs came to be, or some of the backstories of the fantasy and the world building that take place. So all really cool stuff. And sure, you could say I'm a bit biased in that front, and that's all right. It's true. I am biased. I certainly do love everything that Lauren's created, but I think you guys will really love what she's created too. There's a lot of cool riffage happening, a lot of serious topics that are tackled in the music, but in a way that's very fun and accessible for listeners in both a audio only format or in a live show format, and just plenty of stuff that for myself, things that I've always been curious about when it comes to Monstrosa that I've learned by just asking Lauren these questions as a part of this interview. So it's been a lot of fun. So I want to give a quick shout out to Alex for having me guest host this one, and I hope that you guys have just as fun listening to it as I did recording it. So without further ado, I'm Jess Roveda, and you are listening to Your Worst Song. Lauren, we have been trying to get you on the show for a while, and we're finally here. We made it. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm so excited. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm really stoked that Alex asked me to do this, and it's just, it's a really funny kind of, not funny, I guess is the right word, but just fun full circle moment where the listeners don't know this, but our kind of official friendiversary was almost a week ago, and, it's been an awesome year, and now we're doing this where I'm interviewing you on behalf of Alex, so just more stuff going on with collaboration between you and I when it comes to music. And, you have been so busy lately. So has this been your busiest year ever for Monstrosa?
I think it definitely has been. I knew that my goal going into the year was that I wanted to play more out of town shows. So, and luckily, I got reached out. Cartridge Heart has been really helpful with that. There's a couple of people who were like, hey, do you want to come here? Do you want to go here? And it's just been it's been super fun, but super crazy. Because I'm always I'm load in and load out is always stressful enough. But when you do it back to back, I'm oh, I'm kind of tired. But it's been so cool. And I love that. It's so fitting that it's our 1 year friendiversary on your birthday. Just we've done so much this year. So it's really cool and fitting that you're interviewing me for this. I love it.
Yeah, it's awesome. So this is, that's great. And then even to be a part of some of the shows last month. So maybe just to kind of fill in listeners super quickly. So there's a whole backstory, which we'll get into anyway. But, Monstrosa is essentially your project, Lauren, but ultimately is a full band. And I've filled in a number of times. But as of recent, I've become, I guess, is it fair to say, quote unquote, integrated as part of the band too, along with everyone else in the band.
Oh, 100%. It was, and that was kind of what, it's funny, Shannon was talking about how if you do a photo shoot with Monstrosa, you're officially a part of the band. So it was just last week that we posted the first photo from it, and it's with you, with Jess, Emma, Shannon, Marco, Brittany. So it was really satisfying to have all of you in the same room together because you've all played shows, and I think I just it didn't feel right to call you a sub or call Brittany a sub because I was they do more than that. Brittany did the art direction on the music video and created those first masks. Jess, you've played bass and guitar and been there for so much. I just was no, they're part of this universe and I want it to be I want that role to be stated in a way that's like more serious and just like gives you the credit that you guys deserve because we're a collective of like really cool individuals and that's something I'm really proud of. Yeah, so it was. I was really excited to like announce that kind of officially and yeah, take photos with the new masks and stuff. So it's been really cool.
Yeah, and I'm obviously super grateful and excited to be a part of it. And I think that's kind of a good starting point for the listeners getting to know you and your music. You know, I'm sure you hear it more than I do, but I've been asked it a few times. People saying, "Well, Monstrosa, is that like a band or is it Lauren's thing?" So yeah, give us maybe the whole story on that and how it started and where we're at now.
Yeah, 100%. So it started with me, Emma, and Shannon in 2019. So me and Emma have played guitar and music together since high school. So I met her when I was in grade 8 because she was friends with my sister, and my sister introduced us and was like, "Hey, you guys should play guitar together." Um, yeah, and then I really wanted to do original music, but it just didn't interest Emma at the time. She was like, "Oh, I just like playing for fun and doing covers." All we would play is Muse songs. I've like said that in every interview. I'm like, "Yeah, we just played Muse. It was really fun." Um, Hence the drop D tuning in every Monstrosa song, but
It's a
yeah,
great
then
tuning.
pardon?
It's a great tuning.
I'm obsessed. I love it. There was a meme that was like the girl with like she's like I can just play with my middle finger because I can just slide around my middle finger and do chords. I'm like that's the vibe.
Totally.
But yeah, but then in undergrad I started writing a lot of original music and I knew I wanted to do something more with it. So I approached Emma and I was like, "Hey, like how would you feel about being in a band with original stuff? Like if I wrote the parts for you?" And she's like, "Yeah, that's totally cool." And mind you, since then she's like written like most of her own solos, so I just want to like give credit to that as well. But she was like, "Yeah, I got you and I'm going to back you and let's do this thing." So that was like super exciting. We would rehearse at a space in Scarborough, and that's when we met Shannon because the owner was just like, "Oh, I know a bassist. She's really good and she's super gay." I guess he just like figured out I was gay, but that's fine. I was like, yeah, you know what? That's the vibe. Yeah. And then Shannon's been like one of my best friends ever since. So the three of us, obviously we did the first album, but then lockdown happened in 2020. So all of our live shows got canceled. Things got crazy. You know, we all had crazy personal things, but like the project still persisted. And then Marco, who plays drums with us, was someone we had like our 10-year friend anniversary recently, which is crazy. So yeah, so I played in his band when I was younger. And he's always kind of been around. Like, same thing the way Brittany was like doing stuff behind the scenes. Like, Marco's done like sound for us. He like helps us like with load in or like even just like driving us around. Like, if there's an emergency situation, like he would just like show up and help. Like, he's just always been a big supporter. So, you know, when I was like, "Hey, like, I want to do more out of town shows. Would you be able to do that with me?" And then he's like, "Yeah, totally." Like, he's always been there basically. Yeah, all this to say that like yeah, because we are a band and we're a collective of people, but it's kind of basically like it's like a collection of characters. So if you go, every show you go to will be a different lineup of like the same, like of everyone who's in that collective, which I really love because then I get the opportunity to play with all these people. But it also like in the vein of accessibility is really important to me from like a values perspective because if Emma, for example, can't do an out of town show because of like whatever personal reasons, I don't want to be like, "Okay, well then you're out of the band." Like it's just not like it just didn't feel fair and it didn't feel right to me. So I was like, "Okay, how can I make this band accessible to everyone? Like if you can't do it to the level that I want to, I still want you to be involved in the project because you've done so much. Like so much of the art is Emma's, like all this stuff." But again, like that was just kind of like this weird complicated journey of like you feel pressure to like really have a really clear brand and stuff, and I was like, "Okay, well how can I make this make sense to viewers and also bring them into the world that I enjoy so much because I get to play with all of these different people and collaborate with all these different people." Like since 2022 we've been like having drag artists on stage and like sometimes we do burlesque. Like we had Helena Lovelace at TD Music Hall. So yeah, I just wanted to like, you know, kind of solidify that was kind of what the last year was about, was like how do I explain this to viewers, because I'm like, we are a band, we absolutely are a band, but again, like it's just like every single show is like different and unique in that way.
Totally. And that's like, I think it's really important to a lot of times for artists to just, think about what are the types of ways we can make the shows a bit different, shake things up. Because I think as musicians, excuse me, we're so focused on like, okay, well, what's the lineup or what's the set list. But maybe not so often the thought about, well, what is the show, so to speak. So yes, it is still going to be a traditional rock show, whatever that means to people. But like you said, sometimes there's like maybe a drag artist between, or burlesque, or anything else. And I think it is really cool the way that you've integrated, like you said, kind of the Monstrosa world into those shows to make it into something a little bit more elevated.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And yeah, I don't know, like I'm like I feel very like not articulate today, but I'm just like I was like I need to do this. Like I don't want yeah, because we aren't a traditional band in that sense. Like we're not trying to follow a model or like a brand route that's like necessarily been done before. Like I'm like I just want us to be ourselves and like make this work for each other because like it's hard to be a musician. Like you're gonna get underpaid, you're gonna be overworked, like and it's hard to like expect people to do that in adulthood. Like it's a big sacrifice and it takes a lot of time and energy. And like some people just don't have the spoons for that, but they still want to create. And I'm like, I think it's important to like yeah, for everyone's success, like make it accessible to people. Like we try to do like make shows that are accessible to our audiences with like we like comp tickets if you have financial barriers or like stuff like that. So I'm like, why would I do that but not make the band itself accessible to the members in it, if that makes sense. But yeah, so that's like one piece. But then the other piece is just like the fantasy of it. Like we love like having different characters and like we have lore behind all the characters, which we're gonna be revealing in like videos and stuff. Like we're having so much fun with it. And I just want to create art that like I'm proud of and I enjoy. And yeah, it's such a privilege to like do it with people like you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and I'm super happy and grateful to be a part of it. And that kind of leads me into what I wanted to mention next. Just like, yeah, a lot of the fantasy, the kind of Monstrosa universe, if you want to put it that way, that's being created, like, for example, with the masks. And again, obviously, there's, not too much that you want to reveal right now and things that will be a surprise to me as well. But maybe what would be cool is some insight into, things like that, what you're doing to kind of bring Monstrosa, I get almost beyond the music, both past and present. Because another thing I wanted to bring up too, was it a video game that you guys were also included in? Anyway, I'll let you kind of speak to that, but just a lot of cool stuff that I want to hear more about.
Yeah, totally. No, video games definitely kind of play a role in it. Yeah, because I think especially with the characters, like that really took flight when we did 778 because I was working with Tiffany Weiss, who's an amazing director, for that music video. And the song was all about how like Monstrosa was me and it was like so painful because it's just like you're putting yourself out there in such a way that's so vulnerable and aggressive, and then like if like we got turned down for something or if like anything happened that was like a slight inconvenience, it just felt like so personal because Monstrosa is so personal to me. So we kind of obviously like the video has like the doppelganger in it that's like me attacking myself and like themes of that. But ever since we started, like so much of our themes have been around mental health, and I think it's really cool, like because I have borderline personality disorder, like kind of incorporating those symptoms in a way that's artistic and I can portray to viewers. Like, we put on different masks because it's different characters and it's different versions of yourself. Like, it's very fluid and like it mutates the way that like nature does. Because like I also have a bio degree and the name of the band was named after the cricket I studied in undergrad. Yeah, some people are like, what'd you do with your Bachelor of Science? I'm like, I use it to do weird band concepts, but that's about it. But yeah, essentially like, and then the other side, which is the video game side. So Emma has done video game design her whole life. Basically, that's the career she works in. So the reason our second album was called Mild Fantasy Violence, which for those who don't know is a video game rating, it's because when we were trying to figure out a band name, it was a tie between Monstrosa and Mild Fantasy Violence. And I told Emma, I was like, okay, we picked Monstrosa, but I promised you our second album is going to be called Mild Fantasy Violence. So that was kind of like decided before I even started writing that album, which was kind of cool. But yeah, Emma's artwork, like the actual artwork that she does for the band and also just her art in general has always influenced my writing and like my art and vice versa. And then her art influenced the way that Brittany created those masks for the video. But yeah, like I guess long story short, like having different personas and characters is a way for all of us to play with like the best and worst parts of ourselves on stage in like the most theatrical way possible. Like I love wearing a mask because you can see it from really far away, and like it's kind of creepy, it's kind of weird, and it makes you wonder like what like what's going on. Yeah, so I think it's like it's a mix of like kind of my influence, like just as someone with lived experience with like mental illness, and then also like the art side of it, like video games and how like that art can bring storylines to life, and like how can we do that through the medium of like having stage props and having masks and stuff, because it's something I feel some artists neglect. I'm like, bring that visual aspect on stage, like do it. Like it can be the smallest thing, like even just like something you like tie onto your mic stand. I'm like, it's just so fun, and like I want people to see all sides of us, because like everyone in Monstrosa is so creative. So I'm like, yeah, it's been really nice like stepping up the visual aspect and like the masks, and yeah, playing with like personality and like disordered personality and like all those things that, yeah, you know, it kind of consume my life. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put this into art, because what else can I do?
Yeah, and I think it's like it is very inviting too, like from an audience perspective, where because yeah, you get to know these characters or these storylines here and there, and I do want to mention too, because I don't think I've ever brought this up to you before, but just like even the title mild fantasy violence, like when you guys released that, I like that just totally tickled my like inner 10-year-old brain of like, yeah. I know exactly what that's a reference to.
I love that.
And so that kind of just made me think too, so I want to hear more not only about kind of the musical influences that go into Monstrosa, but maybe if there's any specific video game references that you pull from, if any at all.
Oh my gosh, I feel like Emma would be a better person to ask than me.
No worries.
But with that said, like I think because she like a lot of her video game art that she does, like you'll see that direct influence in the Monstrosa art, which I love. Yeah, and then I guess just like obviously mild fantasy violence, like cartoon violence and like cartoony imagery, like we definitely like that influences like our aesthetic for sure, because we kind of like the surreal, like it's the, for example, like it'll be like a portrait of one of us with like the horns just drawn on in cartoon, like we really like blending those worlds. Yeah, there was, you said about the video game, and then there was something else. I can't remember. But yeah, it's like Emma's the best. She definitely like, it's like when it comes to the video game references and stuff, like that all comes from Emma and that influence in her career, which is really cool.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. The other side was just general like musical influences, maybe or you could even mention, because I know I'm someone who's like this, where I do have my own influences, but they're not necessarily always reflected in the music I play. So if you want to speak to what is and isn't a match, but is I guess an influence nonetheless, I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, totally. I think the two that are like I think obvious and upfront are Muse, because the tuning and the riffage, like I feel like I take a huge influence from them. The ones that are less obvious, I would say, are like Lamb of God, The Cure, and Red Hot Chili Peppers. So those are like those three bands like influenced me a lot. I really loved Red Hot Chili Peppers as a kid in particular because of the harmonies they did, which like seems like a random reason to love them, because it's like, but there's Flea on bass, there's all these other things to latch onto. But I just love like John Frusciante and like in general, even his solo stuff and his singing, I feel like kind of like informed the way I was singing. Not so much Kiedis, sorry Kiedis. But in terms of influence, like there was some really good harmonies happening in Californication, and like I loved the simplicity of the solos that like John Frusciante was doing. Like it also influenced how I did solos. I'm like, I don't necessarily have to be shredding. Sometimes I just want to portray emotion. Like, and then The Cure and also Depeche Mode are just like two of my favorite bands. And like, again, I couldn't say directly how they influence it, but like, yeah, I know that the influence is there, because it's just like those bands are like part of my blood. Like I've listened to all their stuff so much, and like, yeah, but yeah, Muse is the most obvious one. And then Lamb of God also does a lot of drop D tuning, so I think that was really influential to like how I was writing riffs and stuff, and like getting into the metal side of things.
Mm-hmm. And that makes sense, and like I totally see that spectrum too. Like even again, maybe even some of the less obvious ones, but I think you gave a great explanation there too, because even just in kind of the general Monstrosa sound, the thing that amongst many things that stands out to me, but also something on a personal level I really love, are the riffs. And so when you mentioned Lamb of God and the drop D, like that's what clicked in my head. Because for me, a lot of Monstrosa even just reminds me of a lot of like classic metal. And I know that's something I've brought up to you before too, where you said that influence isn't necessarily there, but it's very cool how I'm sure that's probably like your influences pulling from those bands and things like that, and it's all in a very, very cool package.
Yeah, totally. And that makes me happy to say like that you say that about the riffs because that's definitely like the part I'm most proud of. I think because I felt like for so long like and I know a lot of musicians feel this way, like it's a mix of imposter syndrome, but also just like why should I have the right to be heard, which is also part of my mental illness, but like I I was like, if I can't shred and I'm not like a prodigy on guitar, I better not do this in public in any way. Like, because I'm just going to humiliate myself and I'm also going to humiliate women. Like, I felt like when you're in a space and like you're the only woman there, like you kind of feel extra pressure. Like when I was jamming growing up, often it was like rooms with all men. And I was just like, if I'm bad, it's not just going to be like, oh, she's bad. It's going to be like, yeah, because girls can't play. And I'm like, I can't handle that pressure. It was the same thing with martial arts that I did growing up. I was like, I was the only girl in my class in karate, and then I was the first girl to get my black belt at my dojo specifically. So it was always like, it just felt like an extra pressure. I don't know, that always like freaked me out, but I knew how to write a riff. Like I was like, I don't know how to sweep, like I don't know how to shred. My improvisation skills are meh. But like there's more to music than that. Like I always thought, again, like unless I'm a prodigy on guitar, I shouldn't be writing, I shouldn't be doing this in public, and I shouldn't be performing because I'm just not good enough. But again, like some of the best songs ever written are simple. Like it's not about how difficult a guitar part is. It's about how it sounds and how it makes you feel. And like, I feel like I can really express myself through riffs because like, that's my favorite thing to write. And it's like, yeah, I'm just like, I can write a riff and the riff does not have to be complicated. That's not like a meter of how good something is. So it was really like refreshing when I kind of came to terms with that. I was like, I don't have to be the best singer in the world and I don't have to be the best guitarist in the world to write music and to do this band.
I totally get what you're saying. And I come from similar experience as well, just throughout the years. And yeah, it really does come down to you just have to do it. You have to let yourself have fun with it too. And like, that's another thing too that I think just makes everything that you do in Monstrosa so exciting, especially in a live show where like you can see you're having a good time and you like, the people are having a great time with it as well. It's one thing when the people on stage are having a great time, but the audience is enjoying it as well. And I hope that like you see that and recognize that like your songs are loved just the way that they are.
Oh, thank you. That makes me so happy. Yeah, because it's true. Like, because we joke, we're like, this is the mental illness sad song, and then this is the happy song, and then this is the sad song. Because a lot of the themes are really serious. Like they're about like, discrimination as a queer woman, or about like really struggling with symptoms of BPD. But I'm like, that's not how I want my music to make people feel. Like I'm like, I want it to be fun. I want to have fun playing it. Like, so and it's kind of like comes back to the mild fantasy violence. Like it's like we're talking about violent themes, but there's like a fantastical element to it that kind of like brings a lightness and makes it less stigmatized and less like scary to talk about. So yeah, no, I'm so glad that audiences have fun. We have like the best freaking community that like comes to our shows, and we're so grateful for that. Like, and it's really cool. Like I've definitely met people in our audiences who also have borderline, and like also like many queer people who like come to our shows, like anyone who comes to our shows, and it's just like, yeah, like I felt that, like what you were doing. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. It makes me really happy.
Yeah, and like I mentioned earlier, like that is something that just makes it that much more inviting too, to have those people who are going through the same things, but maybe they don't necessarily want to listen to music that sounds like the thing they're going through. So you can, you're the person who's writing about those things, but again, putting them in a way where you're like, I'm putting some fun into it, or even whatever that looks like, where it's not so quote unquote obvious and dark, so to speak. And that's something I've kind of struggled with myself. So I often look to you and other artists doing similar things to be like, okay, I can still write about the way I'm feeling. And I know I don't want it to sound like this moody, depressing thing, but here's how they're doing it. What can I learn from that? So anyway, all in all, I think like the way that you go about it is fantastic. And again, like clearly the audience really appreciates it, because one thing I really like seeing, whether I'm on stage with you guys or part of the audience, is there's like always a good handful of people who are singing back a lot of the lyrics. So people are definitely holding that in their hearts, which is awesome.
That makes me so happy. No, it's so cool. It feels like such a privilege to like play live and have people do that. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, and that's maybe a great way to segue into the first main question of the show. What would you say is your best gig experience?
Oh my gosh, I feel like there's a lot of good ones, but I'm gonna say TD Music Hall, which just happened in February because well, it was a perfect example of like that collaboration and that like collective monstrosity that is this band. Because for people who don't know, when we played the song Platonic, Jess came up on stage and played guitar, and Helena Lovelace came up and did burlesque for that song. And also, of course, the show itself was our music video release party. It was the first time we'd ever done a music video. It was the first time I got to work with Tiff, which was amazing. She's so cool. Like the entire crew from the video, like the people who could make it, came to that show as well. So there was a crossover of like the film world and the music world and the burlesque world and like and it was so and then we had Discontinuity opening as well as Eternal Requiem, which are just like two bands I love and respect so much. So having them there also just made it so special. It was a show that I organized myself, which is very stressful, but it's also something I take pride in because like I'm able to like, yeah, pick who's on the bill and like make it a space like that is like supportive and safe to people. And yeah, but I would say it was our best gig because like just because of that collaboration, like I got a chance to like showcase, you know, and kind of like showing a little bit into the future of Monstrosa, like what is Monstrosa? Who are these people? Like, and it's like there's so like there's a bunch of us, and like we all pour ourselves into this project, and like it's just a party. Like, but yeah, so I think I would say that one for sure because it was, yeah, it was just so special. Like getting to even watch the music video on that screen with an audience reacting in live time was so cool. Excuse me, so cool. And then obviously my girlfriend Brittany, like she made those masks. We wore them when we played the last song live. Like that was really cool. We'd never done that before. That was our first time wearing the masks on stage. So that was really symbolic of our future. And like, yeah, it was just a really good time all around. And I was so grateful too. Like people came out and seemed to really enjoy it. And yeah, so I would say TD Music Hall back in February.
Yeah, that was such a party. Definitely a fun time. And one thing I thought of too, I was thinking just about everything about that night and how cool and huge the green room was there. Something that Alex occasionally or often, whatever, asks a lot of artists on the show is if there's like any green rooms that stand out for better or worse in their minds. And I don't know if you'd say that's the best or if you have any other cool, brief green room stories to bring up, but yeah.
No, I love that. No, it was definitely the best one. It was cute because there was the big one and it had like a screen so you could watch what was happening on stage. And there was like a volume knob on the wall so you could turn up or down. Like, so I was like, while I was like, because I like to warm up before my set, I could like watch Discontinuity on the screen while warming up. And then there was like a secondary room where me and Helena practiced our choreo. Like, and it's funny, it's like it seems like oh green room is so like fancy but it's so helpful as an artist like just to have a space to like decompress or warm up or do these things before going on stage and like and it doesn't even have to be big like you know like I'm trying to think of another one like Rivoli is a good example. They have a little green room in the back but even smaller green rooms than that like it's just like if there's a space yeah to decompress because like live music and nightlife is like it's very stimulating, it's intense, and like my music is very emotional to me. I can feel drained after a performance like and even like yeah and again talking about accessibility like I don't want my bandmates to burn out. I need them to like rest and sit down or have a space to stretch before they get on stage. So like yeah it was like TD Music Hall was like next level because it was freaking massive. But yeah I think green rooms are such an interesting conversation because I find like people are like, oh, so fancy. I'm like, no, it's really important. It's not just us being bratty. I swear to God, like a lot goes into this. And like sometimes I just like want to stretch with my guitarist beforehand in the piece. And I also tend to at gigs, like I'm in a bar, so I'm like, I want to talk to people. So I'm like talking all night. And then by the time I get on stage, my voice is like really tired. So the green room is a nice place to rest my voice as well. But I don't know why I'm going on about green rooms, but I think
no, you please
yeah,
do.
it's kind of just like talking about accessibility. Like it's something that's always on my mind, especially in an industry that like freaking champions burnout. They're like, yeah, if you want it as bad as you do, then you better destroy yourself because that's the only way you're going to deserve it. And you better work day and night and never rest. And I'm like, That's not really something we should be idolizing, but okay. But anyway, that's a bigger conversation. But yes,
No, totally.
home is the nicest
Totally agree
green
with you
room
on
I've
that.
ever
And
been
another thing
in.
too, just being, pro green room. Yeah, everything you said, I totally agree with. But I think another thing too is it's even just nice to be like, oh, here's a place where after I play my set, I can put my guitar there and not worry about having to watch the corner all night to make sure no one's stealing, or just little things like that.
Oh my gosh, totally. Because like as musicians, we play weird places. Like we play all over, and like you just want that peace of mind. Like, yeah, it sucks playing a gig and then being worried the whole time that someone's gonna steal your gear. Like it's like this is not nice.
Yeah, and that's what I brought up too on my episode initially. I know I've told you this story, but just yeah, having a gig where it was like implied that I should keep an eye on my gear because there's potential for it to be stolen, which generally is not a bad piece of advice, but it kept coming up from the same person a bit too much, and it's like, not a fan of that. So might as well go into the next question with that. What would you say is your worst gig experience?
Oh my god, it's like a tie for two, and I'm
Let's
like,
hear 'em.
I want to give the honest answer, but I feel like it's gonna be like tea, but it's not even meant to be. It's just the truth of what happened.
You can choose to include or not include names. That's entirely up to you.
Cool. Okay. No, I will. It's fine. You know what? I'm going to because lots of other artists have complained about this, so it's, it's valid.
Okay.
But the worst gig I ever had, and the reason it was so bad was because of like actual safety concerns. So I played Pride Toronto in 2022 in the summer, and they didn't communicate to us, first of all, that we had a sound check, which is really funny because I kept emailing them like, we must have a sound check. It's a big stage outside. We're a loud band. We're like a metal band. And like they weren't getting back to me, and I was like, okay, you know what? Because they kept just saying it's a line check, show up 30 minutes before your set. And I was like, wow, that's bold, but sure thing. But the day comes and I'm like, this is a big deal. Like I want to, be on guard for this. So I went earlier to the stage. I went around 11 a.m. because I was like, I'm just going to see what it looks like and like make sure the back line that they said was going to be there is there. And it was. But I walk up to the stage and the sound guy is like, oh, you missed your sound check. And I was,
God.
I don't think I couldn't even hide my anger. I was like, what do you mean I missed it? It's like, I was told there was no sound check. What do you mean? He's like, yeah, you were booked at 10 a.m. for a sound check, but I just assumed y'all were hungover from partying. Haha.
Oh my God.
And then I looked at him and he just goes, I'm sorry. I was so mad. I was like, he was like, oh, that was a bad joke. I'm sorry. I'm like, it's okay. We were never informed that there was a sound check. And he was like, okay, well, don't worry. We'll take our time with the line check when you get here. But I think that was like the stress of that, because it's the biggest show we've ever played, I would say. Because like, yeah, it's an outdoor festival and people just come. Pride Toronto is like a huge organization. So that was the first thing that was like very stressful. And then the second thing that was really, really hard was the whole time I did this show, there was like grounding issues, I guess, with the electronics. So the microphone was giving me electric shocks every time I touched it.
Oh.
And it was like, because I like play metal and I'm working on it. I'm working on it very hard, but I'm not very good at projecting my voice yet. So I'm someone who I'm like in the clubs, my mouth is like against the mic the whole time because otherwise you just don't really stand a chance to hear me. So, that's how I sing live is I'm like usually like touching the mic, but every time I went to touch it, it was like getting punched in the face.
Jesus. And that's bare minimum.
I was scared. I was like, am I
that's a
gonna
safety
die?
issue.
Like, and it's funny because we got like really nice video footage of the show, but you can see it. Like, I can't even watch the footage because you can see the pain in my face every time I accidentally get too close to the mic because it's literally shocking me. And it sucked. Like, I feel like, and again, this is actually something that artists have talked about who have played Pride Toronto. So that's why I was like, should I say this? I'm like, I'm not the first person to say this. Like, just communication issues and organization issues are like a big problem. Yeah, because I'm like, it wasn't even the sound guy's fault. It wasn't like so-and-so's fault. Like, it was just like a total communication breakdown. And like, as an artist, I was like, oh my God, this is so stressful. Like, being told that there was a sound check and I missed it, I was like, we needed that sound check. Like, no. Yeah, but I would say, and it sucks because like, from the other perspective, like the actual festival itself, like it was Dyke Day. It was so special. Like, we were in the march and then the march ended at Allen Gardens and we got on stage. Like, it's like a gig that's very close to my heart, but in terms of the actual experience as a performer playing, it was quite terrifying at times. Like, I just think the mic like killed it for me. I was like, I know how I'm gonna get through this hour performance while I'm getting shocked like this. Like, yeah, so it was a good gig, but it was also like I would say it was the worst one because like it was literally like I felt like I was in danger the whole time.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a excellent contender for that question because yeah, like it's a gig that like you said everything else about the day felt otherwise special, but just to have everything that built up and then the cherry on top of that damn microphone, like that's
Yeah,
rough.
it was crazy. No, oh, to them just being like, you missed sound check. I was like, the blood drained from my face. I was like, I was told I didn't have one. Anyway, but yeah, that's my story.
Oh man, yeah, no, that's and that's the thing too, where it's interesting too. I think with a lot of outdoor festivals, like I think a lot of times, and I don't know, this is just kind of my experience, and maybe you'd agree or anyone else listening. I'd say maybe only half the time they're organized by like people who understand how to run a concert.
Yeah.
Like, if anything, I often find they're usually kind of getting, the organization itself is not very well versed in that. And they'll get, of course, a sound guy and someone who knows what they're doing, but they're kind of like, okay, well, we got this guy here or this other person here, and we're just going to let them take care of it. So, of course, that's where like communication problems happen and things like that. So it's just a shame that oftentimes it ends up being that way where there's not a whole lot of alignment.
Yeah, totally. No, that makes sense. And often it's like volunteers who I'm like, it's not even your fault. You're like volunteering your spare time to do this, but like it's not your expertise. Like, damn, like, and it's so hot out there. Yeah, but they did provide us with water and stuff. And like, but I just think like, I was like, damn. I was like, this was like a lot.
Yeah, and that was, sorry, I may have misheard, but was that your first, not one of the first gigs post pandemic, or was it?
It was one of the first ones because we started gigging again in 2022. So we stopped our one of our the first show that I actually ever self-produced was at Cameron House in February of 2020. And then we had a bunch of stuff booked for that summer, got canceled. We didn't come back to stage until 2022. Yeah, and then it would have been, I think we played Horseshoe, and then it was Sneaky D's, and then we played Pride Toronto. Yeah, that year we also did Lee's Palace for Shannon's birthday. Like, so 2022 was really nice for us because we had all these gigs canceled, but we were able to like make a comeback even though 2 years has gone by since the album release. We were like, we haven't forgotten about this. Like, we still have the fire. Like, we're here, and we also want to perform live because that's our favorite part.
Totally. And I think that's like awesome to hear too, like just to hear of any bands who, like all of us, had the pandemic disrupt our plans. Everybody's plans got disrupted that year musically, but to know that, yeah, there's artists that, not only made it out of that, but we're like, okay, we're going to hit the ground running with this. So it's really super cool that Monstrosa had the opportunity to do that and just continue growing and building from there.
Yeah, thank you.
And like, would you say, or maybe let me rephrase this question. Because how much gigging did Monstrosa do before the pandemic?
Before the pandemic, we had two shows, and that was it.
Okay, because I was going to basically ask, like, would you say there's, like, maybe in your eyes a bit of a difference in the way that live shows have happened, before and after, or maybe the scene or anything like that you want to speak to? And it's okay if not, but that was just kind of a question that popped
No,
into
that's
my
a
mind.
cool question. Because me and Marco had been gigging together years prior for a long time. I'm trying to think if there are any differences. Honestly, this is more from the show producer side, but I know for sure since COVID that people don't buy tickets ahead of time. That's like, which just sounds silly, but like if sometimes like depending on the venue, if you don't sell a certain amount before the day of the show, like they'll just cancel the show altogether. So I find that's something that artists struggle with now because like, and there's nothing wrong with it. Like other like people are like, I'll just buy the ticket at the door because quite frankly, when they do that, the artist gets more money because there's no fees like on the online site if it's an Eventbrite or whatever. Like sometimes it's $5 more at the door, so people are like, yeah, like I don't really know what my week's gonna look like, but I'll just like show up at the door. Then the artist gets all the money and it's a win-win. But then again, some venues will just like straight up cancel it if you don't have enough pre-sale. So I feel like beforehand, like when the one show I did like before the pandemic, like pre-sale was like a lot easier. Versus now I think it's just like the nature of things. Like people are like, what if I get sick? Then I can't refund my ticket. I'm just gonna wait and see how I'm feeling the week of, which like is super valid. Like I'm like, I actually like that better. But again, like sometimes the venues are like, nah, we're gonna just cancel it, and then you're like, oh wow, it's so hard being an artist. But yeah, that's the only difference I would say since COVID.
Yeah, and I've had that happen to me too before the day before cancellation with a show because the venue was like, oh, well, there's only been like 4 tickets sold. Meanwhile, the rest of the bands are like, we had like 10 people saying they were going to come play or pay at the door, but
Yeah,
is what it is,
totally.
unfortunately.
Yeah, it's like definitely stressful for artists.
Yeah, but then during the downtime of the pandemic, so just thinking of timeline here, so yeah, you released the first Monstrosa album that was 2020.
Yes. Yeah.
And sorry, was that during the pandemic or just before that you released it?
Yeah, so we recorded it the fall of 2019 and then we released it. It was the same day that Lady Gaga released Chromatica.
Oh, so
So
it was
I know
like
the anniversary. So it was March
June.
of 2020, right?
I
March?
think Chromatica
April?
was June 20 something.
I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah,
I
happy
want to
Pride,
know the
everyone.
exact date. I'm curious because it was the same day for us and I was like, wow, when were
Well, she
you?
released was it, there were the
Oh, it
singles.
was May 29th, 2020.
Oh, okay, or maybe that wasn't. No, you're right, you're right, you're right.
Yeah. Oh, because we were like, Lady Gaga has an album, so do we. Yeah, and that was
Yeah.
our first album.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, because where I was going with that was so yeah, of course, pandemic cancels everybody's plans. So when it was the time of lockdown and things like that, would you say you just kind of like did you shift into more writing mode or like what was kind of the plan from then on for whenever lockdowns would be lifted? Like did that lead into like the mild fantasy stuff right away or was there something else between or what did that look like for you?
No, it totally did. Like I definitely was writing a lot because I had like the time and I was home. And even like the song Mild Fantasy Violence, like is it's not a COVID song. However, it was inspired by the fact that so many of my friends were playing Animal Crossing. And that
Same.
was kind of, yeah, and it was like a really nice way to cope because you could like go visit your friend on the island and you were outside and you were doing these things. And I was like, what a cool way to like cope with the lockdown. Like everyone's playing Animal Crossing. So the song Wild Fantasy Violence is like about using video games to cope with anxiety and cope with isolation. Which again, that's like a theme that like transcends COVID. Like it's not just like specifically isolation anxiety, like it's all anxiety in general. But yeah, like it was really funny because it was the Animal Crossing phenomenon that inspired the song. Because I was like, it's so, the world is so scary and people are just like at home playing Animal Crossing. Like it just kind of touched my heart. I was like, everyone's just trying their best amidst like absolute chaos. And like, I'm so proud of them for that. Like, we're going to survive this. And yeah, that's really where like the title track came from. And again, we came up with the freaking title of the album before I even started writing the song, before I even started writing the album. So it was so cool how it tied in and there was that video game theme. I was like, "Oh my god, I know what the song Mild Fantasy Violence is going to be and I'm so stoked." And I think it was the first one I wrote from that album and it was during the lockdown. So, yeah.
I love the way that all fell into place where you were like, I have this title, I know it's gonna have its moment, not now, but soon, and then it hits. So that's awesome to hear.
Yeah, totally.
And then so when it came to actually record that album, that would have been what, probably 2022 for you guys then?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. So 2022 was kind of crazy because it was not only were we gigging a lot more finally, we were also recording that album. We got to work with Lex Feathers, which was so exciting. I think that's like their Instagram name. I'm like Lex Metcalf. I can't say it. Metcalfe. Look her up. She's amazing. She's a super talented sound engineer. Also an amazing musician herself. She plays in Wax Limbs. Yeah, she was the engineer on this album, Mild Fantasy Violence. Also fitting because not only she's just like Emma, we joke that Lex and Emma are twins because they both work in video games and they're both musicians and they both have pink fluffy hair and they have the same birthday.
Amazing.
So I think they're just secretly twins. But yeah, so we got to work with Lex from Wax Limbs for the Mild Fantasy album, which was great. Yeah, and that would have happened, I guess, like it took a full year. It was like from summer of 2022 to I'd say like the winter of me trying to do math 2023. Because then we released the album in September of 2023 once we had like everything finalized and yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. And then, of course, yeah, you released 778 recently, so another new era for Monstrosa, and then whatever else is in the works right now. I know you probably can't reveal too much, but if you wanted to speak to anything about that right now.
No, I would love to. Yeah, so definitely like we've been it's like we refer to it as our green era. Like we always have a color.
Nice.
That's like it's in the background of everything because Mild Fantasy Violence was like our pink era. Everything was very pink. It was very fantasy. It was very fun. And now we're kind of doing this like intense green color, which is inspired by like just the 778 art and the masks and stuff. So we joke that it's our green era, but like more importantly than that, like I'd say it's like our most theatrical era. Like it's the first time I've been writing with my 7-string guitar. There's different tunings in this era. There's obviously like all these new characters in this era. There's like you are like an official integral part of this era. Same with Brittany, which is such an honor. And yeah, I've had the album written for a couple months. It's just about recording it. I've been waiting patiently for Mark Sparling, another person in video games. So lots of overlap in those worlds, which is really special to us. But he's a music producer. He does a lot of music for video games, and when the lockdown actually happened in COVID, we used to like get together on Skype and send each other playlists, and we would just like lie in bed and listen to the songs. And they were usually metal playlists, because he was also a metalhead growing up. So when I wrote 778, I was like, I want you to make this as metal as possible. Can we work together on this? So we just recorded it in his bedroom, and I'm so happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, it's a super awesome song. And I love that too, how, multiple producers now have some connection to video games, and all the more that just with it tying into some of the themes and influences. Like how perfect is that to really capture that fantasy and bring it to life within the songs? That's super special.
Yeah, thanks, Jess.
Yeah, and so maybe I'll use that to segue into the next major question. What would you consider to be Monstrosa's best song?
I thought about this one. This is really hard because I feel like it's a tie.
Then say the tie.
The tie is Youth and I Like Girls Like You Do.
Okay.
Because I'm going with the ones that are out. I would say I Like Girls Like You Do is so special because it's the first time that Shannon has written, because we co-wrote that song together, and obviously it's like very emotional because it's about bisexual and lesbian solidarity. Venus is very close. She's gonna try and lay down on the laptop, my cat. But yeah, so that one's like so special to me, and I also just love it because it's like a sing-along song, the chorus, very much. And we always like play it at Pride. It's just like, it's something I really love, and I'm also just proud of how like it turned out with like us trading. Like I do the first verse and she does the second verse, and like it was very unique for us because we've never had that before. Like sometimes Shannon would sing harmonies on the album, which is awesome, but to have her singing lead, I'm like, oh, this is so exciting. So that's definitely up there. I'm gonna say number one song is Youth. Sorry, she's
no, I'm loving her in the camera right now.
Her collar. Youth. I'm gonna say Youth. It's really special because that chord progression in the chorus, I actually wrote it when I was in grade 10. And me and Emma played it in our high school band. So me and Emma played in a high school band called Astronaut Compass.
Nice. Love that
also
name.
Another funny connection, but the drummer in that band, Dahlia, they 3D printed the mandibles on the 778 mask. Which is so like cool. Like a random connection from high school too. And then my other best friend from high school, Ryan, his girlfriend is Tiff, who was the director of the video. So anyway, that's just like my personal world of things. But so I wrote that chorus, and we performed kind of this version of Youth when I was younger, and it was about, chronic suicidality and stuff. And it was the first time I'd ever really touched on that subject in a song, and it was the only original song that Astronaut Compass ever did. So the riff was like visceral to me because I was like writing it in the pits of teenagehood and trying to like survive like being a teenager in high school, being bullied, and also like having a severe disorder, and like everyone in my life not knowing what to do about it, including myself. And then flash forward to, I guess, would it have been during the pandemic or a little bit before, when I started writing Youth? It was like, now I was older and I was like, wow, like being a young person was so scary. Like being a teenage girl was so scary. Like my street harassment started to go down the older I got. Because people are creeps and they go after vulnerable people, and people are, I'm sorry, freaking pedophiles, and it makes me sick. Like, I'm so protective of teenage girls because it's a really scary world to grow up in. And just like, that's kind of where the lyrics started coming in with Youth. It was just like that feeling of grieving growing up because you're like, oh my God, like, there's so many horrible things in the world, and like I don't know what my place is in it. I don't want to feel powerless to these things. Like I don't want to feel powerless to genocide. I don't want to feel powerless to patriarchy. What can I do? I'm just like this stupid teenager who like can't even get out of bed because I have a mental illness. Like it was like all these feelings, and then taking those feelings and reflecting on them in my early mid-20s, and that's what the song Youth became. And the riff is probably my favorite riff I've ever written, and it was like
so hard.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Because I was like, how do I express that in a guitar riff? And then that's how that riff came to be.
And you did.
Like, you know what? I should get angry more often. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so I think, and then, you know, and the lyrics also, I know, resonate very strongly with my bandmates. Like, even like Marco, like he's older than us, like he's in his 40s, and him being like, yeah, like that feeling of being a young person growing up is so fucking scary. And like, you like captured that perfectly. And I was like, that's cool that even at your age, you're like that feeling, like that's what that song is. And like, yeah, it is just solidarity with young people. Like, I'm 28 now, and I just like, growing up was the hardest thing I ever did. It was really scary. Being a kid is so scary. You have such little control over your life. You're so vulnerable. Like, and I just grew up and I was so angry about how that went down for me. And you know, being able to put that into a song and having it resonate with people was just like, it meant a lot to me. So I would say that is Monstrosa's best song.
Mm-hmm, totally. No, and I love hearing that backstory about it too. Like I definitely, of course, yeah, it's obvious that's what the lyrics are about, but yeah, it is interesting too. I think a lot of times when people think of like teen angst, quote unquote, like I think it's often, you know, portrayed in a way that's almost not taken super seriously. You know, whether or not it's like, you know, the person talking about it doing that on purpose as a way of coping or whatever, but this is something that says like, hey, this is a real thing, and it's not presented in a way that's like, you know, corny or lighthearted, but I think you just executed it really well is what I'm trying to say. It's
oh my gosh, thank you. You worded that so well, because there's literally a line in the song that's like, teenage years, your intelligence will be mistaken for attitude. Because it's true, people don't take teenagers seriously. They're just like, oh, you're hormonal and you're crazy. I'm like, maybe, yes, like obviously puberty is intense, but also they're coming to terms with learning about this world. Like, that's not easy information to take down. Like, it's a very scary, like, you know, and like as a caring person, like you're just a kid and you're like, I want to make a difference in the world, like I want to save the environment and I want to help people. And then you like grow up and you're doing puberty while figuring out like the world climate and all those things and climate change and all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, teenagers are upset about very real things. And like you said, like it's seen as this like frivolous thing, like you're a kid, so you can't have real problems, and it's just teen angst and it's nothing. And like now that I'm 28, I'm like, that was the hardest time of my life, and people didn't take it seriously just because I was a kid. And that's crazy, because I'm like, it was your job to protect me. I'm an adult now, but I wasn't at that age. So yeah, thank you for saying that back, because it's really cool that message got across, because I'm like, we should take like kids and teenagers seriously and their concerns seriously.
Mm-hmm, totally. So yeah, like I think youth is a great choice for that question too. So thank you for sharing all of that as well. That was awesome insight.
No, thank you for giving me the platform to talk about it. It means a lot.
Oh, of course. And so just speaking of songs, the big question, the title of the show, what would you say is Monstrosa's worst song?
Yay, and why? And why? Okay, I gave a lot of thought into this, and I was like, I'm finally ready to tell this story. And it's anyway, I'm gonna say that our worst song is Attacker, and it's the song on the first album. And the reason it's the worst song is because I let a man tell me what to do, and it was not the right decision, and it ruined what is possibly could have been Monstrosa's best song, in my opinion. So here's the story.
Let's hear it.
So yeah, so it's funny because Attacker, I originally wrote it because I was teaching self-defense, and kind of similar to Youth, there's a lot of, you know, talking about violence against women and young people in my songs. I was teaching self-defense to people, and it was making me really angry because I was like, you shouldn't have to defend yourself though. Like, why am I teaching this to kids, like teenage girls, when I should actually just go to the potential predators and people that are going to go after them and be like, don't you dare. It's one of those like systemic issues versus making an individual issue. And that's not to say that self-defense shouldn't exist. Like, I still teach it today. I think it's important. But again, it's that anger of like, don't make this an individual problem. Like, this is like, you know, we should be going after perpetrators of violence, not blaming victims. Anyway, so really intense feelings behind the lyrics of this song. And Shannon actually came up with the chorus line, which was, she was like, we should call the song Please Text Me When You're Home. Because often, like, you know, when like your friends and stuff, you're out and you're worried about their safety, you're like, hey, if you could just text me when you get home so I know you're in safe. That's something that like all of us can relate to. Like, that's something that a lot of us do with our friends, even at this age too. So I loved that line. These lyrics were really important to me. And then we went to record the song and I was singing it. And the engineer, who I won't name names, but we do not like we don't speak to this person. And it took me a while to like tell this story because I just like didn't want retaliation from him, basically. But he was like, you're not singing it right. And I was like, well, what does that mean? He's like, you're singing it all light and soft, even though it's angry. And I was like, okay, but that's how I sing. Like, that's Monstrosa's sound. Like, I would love to yell. I'm learning how to do it now, actually, but like, that's not how I wrote this song. And I personally love like the, what's the word? Like that kind of insane distance between like what I'm saying versus the sweet voice. Like, I kind of like how dissonant that is. Like, I think it's cool.
It's very, it's Monstrosa, like you said.
Thank you. Yeah. So I was like, why is this guy telling me not to sing like myself? Like okay, should I sing it like Mariah Carey? Like, sorry. Like, I don't know what, but yeah, so I don't know how, I think it was because I was so fed up with this whole recording process. I wanted it to end. He was like, it should be an instrumental. He's like, don't even sing it. Don't even sing those lyrics. Don't even sing it at all. And he convinced me. So we released it and it is an instrumental. And then the whole time during that album cycle, people were like, why'd you choose to do an instrumental? And I would lie to people. I'd just be like, oh, I just felt like it was the best way to express how I was feeling. And I was like, that's not true. Like, and now it's like, obviously that was in 2020. Now it's 2025. I'm like, now I'm actually talking about it because I think we're going to re-record the song and release it on the new album with the lyrics as it was intended. Which I'm really excited about because again, and that was so nice too. Shannon came up with the original title, which was Please Text Me When You're Home, which like we'll probably like title it that. Yeah, but it was, and then when I wrote I'm a Weapon, it was kind of like reclaiming that theme of being like, what is self-defense and like how am I, like, if someone attacks me, like, no, I'm actually dangerous, don't fuck with me. There was definitely some themes of like self-defense. Like, there's always a little bit of martial arts in my stuff as well, which is fun and also ties into mild fantasy violence because it's like cartoon violence. But yeah, I would say my worst song is Attacker, and it's because I let someone tell me what to do and it was the wrong decision and I should have never let them do that.
It is nice to hear though, at least that, yeah, you're saying, you know what, no, we are gonna re-release it and put vocals on it. And I think that's kind of the perfect full circle moment to say, like, actually, I'm gonna take control on this thing that someone took my control from me in the first place. So I'm glad there's a silver lining to that story after all.
Yeah, thank you, Jess. Yeah, I'm like, I know that was a very serious. I wish I had like a funnier story for my worst song, I think it's but I was perfect. Like, this is it. This is the story I'm telling today.
It's your story, and you should be honest about it. And I think more artists, should be honest about the way they feel about their songs in that sense, and especially if someone did do them dirty in the process, whether or not they name names or whatever the case may be. It's all about taking your artistic power back. So thank you for putting that out there.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jess.
Yeah, so I think, all right, we've hit the end of the show. One thing I want to mention, what day is it today? It's Friday, June 13th. Not sure when this is going to air. Now, I know you're playing North by Northeast tomorrow, and then Drum Taberna the 20th. What else is coming after that you're able to announce right now, if anything?
Totally. We're playing the Rivoli in July. That'll be our next Toronto show. I think it's July 18th. It's a Friday. We're playing with the Young Scones, which is exciting because we've been trying to hook up and do a show together for a long time. So looking forward to that. And at the end of the month in July, we're going to London to play a house venue called the Dog Pit for my friend Jen. It's her coming out party. So that's very special to us as well. So, well, if you're in London and you want to come to a sick house party to celebrate someone coming out as trans, this is it. We're going to be there. It's going to be crazy. Awesome. Yeah, and then I'm like, I kind of want to announce this because like it's fine. Jess Roveda is playing with Monstrosa, not just in Monstrosa as Jay Mysterio. We'll get into that later, but We're going to be playing the Drake Underground September 6th, and that's a really exciting one because we'll be releasing new music. And again, Jess is going to be there too, doing double duty. And you're going to see all the monsters there because everyone in our collective is coming that night. So it should be a really fun party on September 6th, I think, this Saturday.
Yes.
Drake Underground.
Yes, and that might be, at the time of this show's release, that might be the first official announcement of that show, potentially. So,
yeah, totally.
You heard it here first, potentially, folks. But yeah, no, that and yeah, all the upcoming ones, the July show at the Rivoli and the London show, those are both going to be awesome times. So yeah, if you're in any of those areas, definitely go see a Monstrosa show. You will be entertained.
Yeah, thanks, Jess. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. So yeah, I guess we can end it here. All right, thanks again, Lauren. Like, this was so much fun. Like, again, being friends for a year now and being a part of Monstrosa, there's still so much that I haven't learned about the band, but like this interview like definitely gave me some really cool insight into behind the scenes of things. So super grateful that you were able to do this, and I just want to give a quick shout out to Alex for letting me host this one.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me, Alex, and thank you, Jess. This was super awesome. I love chatting to you as always, and happy friendiversary.
All right, happy friendiversary, Lauren. Take care.
Bye.